Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to Lago Atlan, Guatemala. Welcome to the equinox. Wow, and what an equinox passage this is. As we shared last time we met how potent the Lionsgate passage was, this happens to be also the most potent, powerful equinox passage I've ever walked through at this time. A time of equal day and equal light, equal day and equal night, equal dark and equal light throughout the planet. And it's an extraordinary time for us to be out on the earth, an important time for us to be out on the earth in these bodies, both to receive all the photonic light and information that's coming in, to reset and reboot our systems. For if we're in the northern hemisphere, it's a time of going in. And those in the southern hemisphere, it's a time of coming out from that incubation and hibernation. And the best thing we can do to support our bodies through this process is to be out on the earth. Greet the sun each morning, put it to bed at night, sun gazing, connecting. So we're going to begin our journey today with the alignment process. And the reason, I'll give a little bit of an explanation because we've got some people here who are new to our community. And just so you can understand why we go through the alignment process, why we align the bodies. And then when you go through it, it enables it to integrate better. You know, in the mainstream matrix, in the mass of humanity's collective consciousness, most people are busy following their mind body that was programmed by the matrix. When their soul knows who they are, where they came from, why we are here, and is the one that's to lead the earth walk. And it's very, very important to bring that earth team, our physical body, our mental body, and our emotional body into harmony, into coherence, and into a unified team where there's no hierarchy, so that they can work together following the soul. So often people in the matrix, the mind is leading the soul. Often people, when they first embark on their path and get connection to the soul and are listening and following. And this is what happened to me, is I ended up following my soul and forgetting about my body. That I'm in a body here and I really need to listen deeply when I must act and when I must rest. And after I've been working and I'm out in my expanded field, that I come back down and in, reset my nervous system onto the parasympathetic and stay fully connected to the earth plane. So there's a reason we'll go through this process for our personal alignment, so that we can come into alignment and harmony within, with our earth team and follow our soul. And it's also important to do that when we're journeying together in a group field. Because there's a lot of people, you know, gathered here in this circle in cyberspace that has a lot of information and connection. That when we come together, it works like scaffolding, and it helps us pick up pieces of our puzzle that we might not have, that we need. And simply by coming together in circle, when we're aligned in ourselves and coherent in the circle, this happens by osmosis. It happens very fast and it happens very quickly. And it's very important to be able to receive that we're in alignment to do so. So, as I welcome to you to Lago Atlan in Guatemala, which we'll learn more about on our journey today, it's an extraordinary ancient Atlantean center, but also a very important center of our new earth. And I'm going to invite you to join me. Come stand up, stretch those beautiful bodies of yours, And we'll start by simply opening the mouth, relaxing the jaw, exhaling and letting go of everything that's so far happened in your day, and giving your body a good shake. It's very useful to actually, when you open your mouth, relax your jaw and sound out, also relax your tongue. And really drop down into the body. And fully arrive here, aligning that physical body with the mental body. If your mental body is congested up here, just put it on an elevator, bring it down slowly and distribute it throughout your energy field. Aligning the physical, the mental, and the emotional body. You know, many of us have bypassed our emotional body, put it aside, and don't honor it or the elemental structure and potential and power within it. So we have to bring those emotional bodies back in, welcome them as part of the team now. So let us align the physical, mental, emotional body with the all-pervading soul, higher self, and oversoul. And thinking those luminous threads deep down through the floor, the soil, the sands, the bedrock, into the molten core in the heart of Gaia. Connecting with those primal energies of water and fire from the heart of Gaia and inhaling them up through the root, the base, the womb space. If we are in a male or female body, it's very important to cultivate this womb space, this etheric womb space that connects us with the source of creation from the heart of Gaia through our bodies, particularly for men. Connecting to this etheric womb releases the dependence upon a partner when we have access ourselves through to the planetary body. So inhaling those energies up through the root, the base, the womb space, into the belly, into the second brain, into our digestive system where we digest life. And activating that Agni, that digestive fire. And bringing that energy up again through the root, the base, the womb space, the legs, the thighs, the hips, the pelvis, up through the belly and into the solar plexus, our power center. Also within the power center is our sense of self-love, self-worth, and self-respect. And regardless of what we were programmed and conditioned, self-love comes first. When our love tank is full, it may overflow into everyone and everything we touch effortlessly. And it's our responsibility to make sure our love tank is full. So bringing those energies up through the root, the womb space, the belly, the solar plexus, into the heart and expanding in the heart space. We are love, and unconditional love of self is the very foundation stone of our embodiment and evolution. When we have loved ourselves enough so that we will not compromise that for anyone and anything, then we stand on a very firm foundation here, which is very important as we connect to our multidimensionality. We don't want the carpet whipped out from under our feet. Next step is to surrender through the core of Source and the heart of Gaia, where the new earth architecture emerges that is not outside of self. So imagining the planetary body to be in the pelvic bowl. Surrendering through the core of source in the heart of Gaia, where the new earth architecture emerges that is not outside of self. And this is a very important place in which to orient from, particularly as so many of us here today are facilitators. When we serve from this space, we are no longer holding space. We are held, and all those within our field are also held and supported. Simply by the frequency of the new earth architecture. Next, surrendering through our own heart space. Surrendering through the core of source in the heart of the sun that is not outside of self, imagining that sun to be in our heart, our solar selves, our solar logos. Our divine blueprint. And then the next step is surrendering through the core of source in the galactic center that is not outside of self, and imagining that to be within your pineal gland, your gateway to God. And from this place, we align ourselves with our true self beyond the illusion, synchronized, synthesized, synergized. Our toroidal field with the toroidal field of the planetary body. And I'm going to invite you to inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth with your own sound, song, soul signature, because this is how you strengthen your own pillar. Oh. And what happens when we come aligned and coherent in our multidimensionality, when we share information, we share so much more than the verbal words. We can actually transmit from this aligned and coherent space, so that whoever we're sharing information with receives it on a soul level, and it helps them remember who they are. So coming into land somewhere comfy, I'd like to thank you all for investing your time and consciousness in this gathering. And I'd like to invite Kacie to extend our opening to our etheric realms and those who are here to join us on this journey today.
Thank you, Leanne. I'm excited to be here. If you all just want to take a couple of seconds and just get centered in yourself, we'll extend our invitation out to the etheric realms. Settling into our channels of light, acknowledging all those that wish to participate in this gathering today, welcoming in the guardians of all four directions at this time, welcoming in the elemental beings, the Apu, the mountain guardians, the rivers and lakes that wish to show up, Mama Ocean, welcoming in the tree beings, welcoming in the animals on four-legged and two, welcoming in all the birds, all the animals of the sea, every sentient being that wishes to participate in this work today are showing up at this time. Welcoming in our star families, our galactic families, welcoming in our ancestors, welcoming in every aspect of the cosmos, recognizing that we are not outside of source, that we are source. And welcoming in all of our soul family that wish to show up today, and all those who will connect in as they feel our energetic connection later on. You are all welcome here in this circle.
Thank you, Kacie. Did you have something you wanted to add to that, Renee? I just saw your hand up. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Just to let you know, as we journey today, if you have any questions you wish to bring into the field or any contributions you bring into the field, we ask that you keep them very clear, coherent, and concise. And I would like to open the exploration today around the monad. Because in the last weeks, I'd say months, 4 to 6 weeks now, there has been an extraordinary connecting process with our monadic families. And I've been experiencing that in the physical and energetically and online. Literally, monadic families are connecting so quickly right now. It really is the most extraordinary gathering that has taken place since the time of the fall. And I wonder if you have anything you'd like to bring in on that, Kacie.
I am happy to share how you and I are connected in some of my memories, if that's helpful at this time. Okay, so for me, I have a parallel lifetime, feels like, from Lemuria timeline. I remember very distinctly, I have soul memories around the end of that timeline and how we all fell out of sync with nature, how the energy and the consciousness began to fall, and how there was a warning that there was going to be an end of the timeline. So heeding that call, I went into sacred ceremony with 13 other beings in order to sync up our souls, in order for me to come back in this timeline and to remember and to reconnect with those souls. Also in that, there's a remembrance coming forward of these sun discs that were important to us. And the sun discs have a connection with the original tribes on the earth. They have data enclosed in them. They have like star mappings that help people orient back to their native places and how to gather again. And so this information is coming forward at this time because I believe that each one of these 13 souls, the masters, who I call them, is in charge of retrieving one of the sun discs they were kind of honoring and guardians of. And so I reached out to Leanne because she is one of my 13 masters. And instantly we had a soul connection and our souls remembered each other. Leanne is one of 4 that I'm in contact with now at this time. And at some time, we're going to all gather in place. And I believe that we're probably going to need our sun discs with us. And there's going to be a very large activation that takes place on the earth. It's part of our biggest mission for why we're here at this lifetime.
Thank you, Kacie. That did bring tears to my eyes. And it was very interesting because I was getting an invitation to create or facilitate this gathering today. And I was kind of trying to sweep it and brush it away because life has been full and it wouldn't go away. And then Kacie's like, I have a feeling we need to connect. And this was the time also that Kacie had space to connect. So that's why we felt it was important to open this meeting to all those who felt called to connect because of the information that is coming through, again, to help us remember and to turn those codes on within the self. And it's a very beautiful time and a very special time, this reunion. And I personally was in tears a lot yesterday, really witnessing how so many soul family, monadic families and groups are coming together at this particular equinox to support the process Gaia is going through in transformation. And it feels important to speak into this. I've been working very closely with a Polish sister, Olga, who I met at least, I don't know, 8 years ago in Poland. We've journeyed together in both Peru and Egypt in person. And we work with the planetary body together. And this last week, the lead up to the equinox, has been a very busy time for Earth Keepers and Guardians of Gaia, both us and many others, cleaning up and doing the housework, doing the spring cleaning or the autumn cleaning on a galactic level, because of the mass consciousness that is honoring our interconnection today, honoring our oneness, honoring our unity, honoring our planet and our relationships. And what I was aware of, but what became very evident in the process we went through yesterday, was the planetary grid system was lifted. Many people have called themselves grid workers and referred to the planetary grid. And for some time, I've been not working with the grid. I've been working with what I describe as a firmament, which is different. A grid goes like this. The firmament is much more natural and organic. So the process we went through yesterday was to actually, with so many others on the planet and off planet and light ships that were involved in it, it lifted the old grid system off under really high security and ignited the new firmament of the new earth. And it is so beautiful to see, because it's literally Gaia has opened to her galactic level once again. And it's not a grid system at all. It's a firmament of light that is alive. Probably it looks a bit like auroras coming off the planet when I look at it. And this firmament that is now surrounding galactic Gaia, it interacts with each individual independently. Wherever you are on your journey, whatever you choose to experience on Earth, be it very much a 3D experience or a multidimensional experience or somewhere in between, this new firmament interacts directly with who you are, where you are, and what your choices are at this time on the planet. And it will sustain and support whatever they are into its infinite potential. And that was extraordinary. And the other information that came through, which was also beautiful, when you think that so many paths and traditions say we have a blank canvas, that we create our reality. Yet there's another saying that there's nothing new under the sun. And with the grid system, there was nothing new under the sun. everything had existed etherically or physically at some time before. Yet with the new firmament, it's opening up to a potential of infinity. So a blank canvas can be a true blank canvas. When we connect and operate as creator and creation, we can actually manifest a new world and a new way of living and being in this world beyond what has ever been before. And that was quite reality expanding, to be able to feel, sense, and see and witness this. So I'm not sure if there's anything you would like to add to that, Kacie.
I can definitely see it when you describe it. And I don't consider myself like a traditional grid worker, right? So what I do is I work with the new earth frequencies, but I work with the mountains and the volcanoes specifically, and I'm an activator. So my work comes on top of all the grid work that has been done before, and it only comes at a certain time when it's able to be activated. Yeah. And so that coincides with what you're saying. Very much so. It's like almost like it feels like it's go time for me to be able to get to work. Yes.
Yeah, it really feels like grid working is something of the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important now that we step into our unified field and our dimensional selves in our service on the earth and in our reality. So yeah, that was two of the beautiful pieces that came out of our very long journey yesterday. Let me feel. And the other very important part of this journey that has been gathering with, as monadic groups and soul families are gathering, so too are our dragon clans. And I have had my connection with my dragon self for a very long time. And from my very earlier days of walking the earth more consciously and in service. And I remember when I first experienced what I describe as my solar dragon landing. And I was up in Sweden for a summer in 2018, I think it was. And we were working a lot through dismantling the old Anunnaki stories of Enki and Enlil and going on through that. And I was in a journey with a beautiful Swedish brother who I have also journeyed to Egypt many times with, and Sedona. And in this process, my dragon came online in a very angry, ferocious, and fierce way, holding the planet, literally saying, "Don't mess with my planet." And she was wild. And the way we actually unraveled the story, we had to go into Greek mythology to unravel the story of what had been done to the dragons there and the separation that had occurred in the Greek mythology. And when we did, she settled down a bit. She was a big red dragon, which is still an aspect of my consciousness, but because I've chosen a path of embodiment, I get to feel everything physically and viscerally. And then just 18 months ago, when I was getting the nudge to come out of my cave and I was taking too long, I had a motorbike accident that kind of catapulted me out and encouraged the process just after I'd done some earthwork with Renee, actually, in the southern tip of Bali, Indonesia. And it was quite a shock to my system with a fractured cheekbone, skull, and collarbone. But it was obviously what I needed. So when I managed to get my wits about me enough, it was like, oh, I need help. I'm taking my body to Ubud, where I know some practitioners, and going for help there. So over a period of the next few months, before I needed to be in Egypt, I spent healing my body and realigning and recalibrating myself. And one of these sessions I had on a table with a brother who worked with astrology and sacrocranial therapy and mythology. We managed to unwrap my next level of my dragon self, which is a galactic dragon. And she was very colors of blue and violet and silver. And, you know, very visceral, because when I got off the table, it was like, oh, I forgot my big tail that I had to bring with me. So it took me quite some time to integrate that next level, which was my galactic dragon. And then literally just 2 weeks ago, here on the floor of my loft on the lake, I had a beautiful young sister, old soul, come to give me a shiatsu session. And we were busy clearing things out, aligning my system. And then she started working on my right arm, and all of a sudden out come my right wing. And as birds stretch their arms to clear water and to clear minds, she was just stretching herself. Then we walked on the other arm and out came the next wing. And she's my universal level dragon of quite rainbow colors and very clear. And since that moment, dragon family has been pouring through the doors and through the planetary portals and throughout our solar system. So it's really, really exciting that the dragon is coming back online, that our dragon selves are coming back online. And I wonder if you have more you'd like to contribute to that, Kacie.
I definitely do. It feels very important for humanity, for sure, to kind of embody their dragon essence. It's coming back to that creator self, that like primal self that we all have. But that heart opening and the heart-centered self seems to be the most important piece of it. That we're not able to go forward in this evolution of humanity unless we start opening up our hearts, being open and being able to move through that space in order to kind of find unity consciousness again. And I actually just recently connected with my dragon through my soul brother's dragon. I realized that I could connect to his dragon, and he took me on a journey down into the ocean, because in this timeline, I have a lot of trauma with the ocean. So he guided me there, and there was my dragon waiting for me. And I didn't realize until that moment that I was actually her, she was me. And through that viewpoint, I could see the entire ocean bed, and she'd been waiting for me. And not only has she been waiting for me, but she's been guarding something for me, waiting for me to come back to her. And I think that through space and time, we used our dragons to hide our solar discs in order to keep them safe, in order to keep them out of the hands of someone who could corrupt and use it in a bad way, right? So I'm thinking it's super important at this time, not only for humanity, but our master group to come back to ourselves, to connect with our dragons in order to take a step forward.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I just got a full koyopa, visceral confirmation that about the connection there between the dragons and the solar discs. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Renee, did you have something you'd like to ask? Or
yes. Thank you so much. Everything both of you have shared has been very beautiful, clear and succinct. I was yesterday, as you mentioned, I was summoned unexpectedly but very joyfully to the sea, and we were 44 together in the center of more than 1,000, maybe 2,000 dolphins, or maybe 1.5 hours. So the activation that was taking place, they call it a megapod. It was breathtaking. And the dolphins were dragons. So they were morphing in and out of being dragons, and this is on the coast of Southern California. So I love the joy being summoned unexpectedly, and I anticipate more. I also saw when you spoke of your universal dragon, her very clearly. So she's very beautiful. So just my little piece from yesterday. It's rocking and rolling. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for being there. Just while we're on the dragons, Kacie, do you know the relationship our dragons have with Japan?
I don't know. I'm fascinated by it, and I know there's definitely like feels like an origin place for them.
Yeah, there's something about it, because we were on a call the other day between San Cristobal in Mexico, here in Attuning, Guatemala, and Hiroshima, Japan. And we weren't connecting with Japan by chance. I've not walked the land of Japan in this body yet I know there's megaliths in Japan that are very similar to those in Egypt and Mesoamerica and South America. And the shape of Japan is also very much like a dragon, and it has a very it has a piece about the dragons, and I'm not sure of it yet.
They're showing me, Leanne, that there's like giant dragon beings there, like almost like the start of all the dragon beings started in that location.
Yes,
Mhm.
that was the piece. There was a reason. I was like, why am I connecting with Japan? Because there had to be a reason beyond it. And thank you for that. Just
Do those beings need to be called forward?
there's something we need to do here for the dragons in Japan. I see that they're still they're in it, still trapped. So we need to open this for them. Let's just see. We've got a galactic team that can come in. They're kind of bound by sorcery. It's sorcery that's kept them trapped. It feels like sorcery or black magic. So let's just ask support from the planetary light body and sorcery teams to secure the field. We're going to open it from a galactic level down. Thank you, team. Next level, we're moving our sorcery on a solar level. Thank you. Removing all sorcery that's kept our dragons bound on a personal planetary level. And removing all sorcery that's kept them bound at the inner earth level. It is done, and so it is.
It had to do with their magnitude of power.
It's interesting because that opening is just interfaced with my dragon body that it does. So it must have been holding some really important pieces of the puzzle in there. That's just really being released. Beautiful. Thank you. Anything else? Our next one, it feels important to bring our Cetacean Nation in more fully and independently. And it's interesting. The story that I'm guided to share is from Egypt. Some years ago, there were three of us, Shahrazad Hawaiian of the Hawaiian family, who are gatekeepers at the gateway to the Sphinx on Giza Plateau. We were with Shahrazad Megan Morningstar and myself. And we got to go to Valley of the Whales. It's Wadi Hatun, half a day's drive from Cairo. And when we arrived after lunch, we just walked out into the desert without even speaking to each other. And when we got out there all on different dunes in the desert with the skeletal remains of prehistoric whales in the sand, and we just started toning between us. And what we are showing is what happened when there was major earth movements is an inland sea was formed. And that inland sea, when it was formed, eventually evaporated. And that's why these prehistoric whale remains were left there. But because they were there, the whales were obviously unable to keep singing the song line. So the toning that we took place with, that we joined in with, reconnected the song lines across that Saharan Africa region. And it was absolutely extraordinary because, you know, we didn't get back to Giza till late at night. And the next morning we woke to clouds, rain, and rainbows over the Giza Plateau. And it's really a moment. Oh, no, there's another story that needs to be shared. And this took place in Marie's backyard in New Zealand. Quite a few years ago, you know, this was 2010 or 11. And I was staying with Marie and a few friends on their beautiful place in Waimate North, where I grew up riding my horse, where Marie moved to later and built their home. And we were just called to come into circle in the garden. And as we did, we started toning and singing. And the whales showed us how they had come to land and gone back to the ocean 5 times previously. And that it was the time for the whales to come back to the land in human bodies, obviously, because it's time for humanity to remember our responsibility of singing the harmonics of the planetary songlines. And it was very, very beautiful. And at Marie's home are still the old pillars of the original temple that once stood there on that land. And I can remember Fernanda, the Swiss sister with us after, she said, "Oh my gosh, look at your eyes." And I'm like, "I can't, I'm looking through them." But I went to look in the mirror and literally I had my whale eyes. They were big, brown, golden, orange whale eyes. And it was really powerful. So it's a really important time for us to remember those aspects of self as well, of that Cetacean Nation, our whale and dolphin lifetimes and timelines. For all of them are converging here now. And is there anything more you might have to contribute to the whale journey?
I just always see them on their cosmic essence, right? I first see them out in the cosmos, and then I see them connecting back into the oceans. I was on a chat with Valerie the other day, and she's one of our monads, and she was saying how when the oceans are disrespected, the cetaceans will go down into inner earth. They will take themselves away when they don't have an environment that's safe for them to be in. And it feels like at this time, I'm noticing that some of those groups are starting to fade away, right? And soul level me was wondering if their contract was complete, if they will be gone from the earth, or if they're going to come back in a full earth force to support in a new way.
they're coming back in full force to support in a new way. Yeah. Yeah. So,
they're connected also to the higher grids. So like when they come back, it's on a different, they're not going to be singing the same song lines because the grid has changed, right? Feels more organic and less kind of structured songs coming forward.
I think it's an important to know that all species are evolving right now, not just the human species, not just our planet, but all species that we share Gaia with are evolving right now. That the actual structure of our elemental nature is enabling that as this evolves. And this is why it's really important how we care for our physical vehicles at this time. And I've personally noticed myself how as I've embodied and evolved, how my diet has changed. I need less food, rather small, nutritious food, seasonal food from the lands I'm in, and the purest water I can find, ideally earth water, spring water that's mineralized. That has a direct impact on the water in our bodies, our memories as they awaken, and the ability to share information with the planetary waters. And it's also why it's important so much for us to take our bodies into the ocean, into the rivers, into the lakes, because so much information is coming from inner earth and from the cosmos and distributing through the planet, through the waterways. So really very important to make time each day, if you can, to visit your local waterway and be out in nature.
Yeah, they're showing me like the foods filled with light, those leafy greens and all the fruits and vegetables that hold the light will best support our light bodies as we're shifting into them. And that we no longer need those dense foods because we're shifting out of the density of the world around us. Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to listen to the consciousness of your own body on the foods you need to eat. You know, dietary books, supplements, and everything are out the window. Listen to your unique body and what it needs now, and offer him or her that support, because it does ease the path when we're really nourishing and looking after our bodies along the journey. Is there anyone else in the field who would like to bring any questions into the field or contributions into the field? Because it feels where we will go next is to the sun disks. And ask what wishes to unfold through our unified field today with regards to the sun disk. Or the sun disk here in Lago Attuning, to be precise. And as I tune in, I'm actually watching it rising up out of the lake, from the bottom of the lake.
I was asking if your sun disk had information about the cetaceans on it. And it feels like it holds record. Like there are some historical carvings on it, perhaps to the cetaceans themselves, because I understand the dragon connection with the sun disks, but I was asking about the cetaceans and why they were specifically coming forward. Because the cetaceans hold the history of the earth within themselves. So there's like a marker or a activation piece when you see your sun disk, Leanne, that links into the Cetacean Nation and further back to the star families. Because this is not the first planet that the cetaceans have helped to create. That when we link up to the sun disk, we can see the same evolution on other planets. And how they've been guardians each time.
Quite interesting. I was watching it coming up out of the lake, and then literally it was coming up flat, and now it's standing up and it's spinning. And as it's spinning, it's like just sending out information into the planetary field, pulsing it out. Like one of those big radars.
Does your dragon need to be the holder of this for you, or does it need to go out? Like, does it need to like land somewhere?
It feels like it's just it feels like my dragon's still here, and that sun disk is now activated, open, and sharing information. And it's really interesting because people ask me, am I staying here, or when am I coming back here? And I keep getting, I need to come back in November 2025. And now that the sun disk has come online, I have a feeling the reason that I need to come back for the month of November 2025 is because the other solar disks will be operating by then. And a link up is going to happen between them in that time.
Yes, feels very accurate for that.
Yeah. Wow. Now my whole vision's turning into rainbows. Yeah. I ask if there's anything else we need to know or share at this time about the sun disks or the dragons. It feels complete. So it feels the other thing that it's important to speak into the field today. Another thing that I'm witnessing, particularly in this period since Lionsgate, is a lot of relationships are dissolving to evolve. Because those souls who are here in service and are being reminded about that and being guided to take the steps and actions required to honor their service, their frequency is shifting at a much faster speed than partners they've been with up until now. And it's very, very challenging for many people on the planet right now, how to navigate this. how can I be true to myself, my soul walk and work, and the family unit that I've created in this situation. And there's no one answer for that. But one thing I have found while supporting sisters and brothers through this process is that the more they honor their soul, their truth at this time, the more supported they are in doing so. It's like when you sit at the door undecided, as Kerry Strongman, great tohunga from Aotearoa, used to say, if you've got a foot in each side, you're going to get a very sore yoni. So you really have to make a choice to step through the door and close it behind you. As energetically, this will support you beyond your belief into your path, if that is the path that you're choosing. And likewise, if it's not appropriate for you to step through that door, then it may be better to close it for a while, so that you don't divide your consciousness, so that you can be fully present in your body and with your life as you've chosen it at this time. But being divided is very, it creates a lot of instability for both your physical and energetic structures. I don't know if there's anything more you would like to share there, Kacie.
That was very much my own story in my own journey, having to close down the chapters of my previous relationship and step into my soul journey. And it wasn't until then that I was able to put out that call that I was ready to do my work and to call in my soul family and actually have a conversation within my own body, because I wasn't able to have like a calm nervous system, and also having that cortisol level where I felt safe to be in my own body, to be able to come forward and make changes that I needed to in order to take a step forward in all directions. And it has to do with like that future vision of all of us coming together in tribes, right? Of supporting the families that show up in whatever shape and form that they are coming together. And the whole community supporting those children and raising the children together. And the fathers and mothers becoming a team and becoming like one unified family again.
Thank you, Kacie. When I shared that, I did not know that had been your story of your path to here. And I honor your courage to make the choices that you did at that time to be here now. And yeah, it's beautiful. And it also feels important to honor the incoming souls. Those that have arrived, those that are in transit, and those that have yet to arrive, who are bringing in the skills and expertise required for building our new earth. And the other thing we were shown when I did the work with Olga yesterday was that in the new firmament, they will literally land fully connected, coherent, aligned, and grounded through their bodies in the planetary system without any disconnection at all. And that was really beautiful. And it feels connected with both the Mastery and Multidimensionality group that I've been journeying with for almost 9 months now, and the work that we will meet in Peru for in December, from December 10th for 2 weeks through until December solstice. The name I was given for this gathering is Galactic Convergence, and it was very clearly described, although very limited description, that what will unfold in Peru in December is opening the pathways for the next wave of galactics to land into the planetary system through their parents who have done their work and are ready to receive them. So I'm not sure if there's anything more you'd like to contribute to that.
Yeah, they're just showing me the importance of having both parents be on the same frequency and being in that higher frequency realm in order for the children to come through those vessels. I had an experience in my own journey where I had a star being little girl that wanted to portal in, but because my alignment was incorrect with my partner, she wasn't able to come through. And so my soul went through a mourning process for years because she didn't have an opportunity to come through, right? Yeah.
That's really interesting to hear, because it's one thing that I'd witnessed up until now. Some of the new ones could still come through if one person was aligned, but even if the other wasn't. Yet the ones that are due to arrive, they need that alignment and coherence between both partners. They need that unified field of love on all levels and dimensions to be able to land their architecture and infrastructure through that. Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm finding as I'm coming back to my remembrance of Lemuria, like I carry some of those sacred union codes that I know that I will carry into my next partnership. So that partnership looks very different than what we experience right now in the 3D world. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, and thank you for bringing sacred union into the field too, because I know that there's many of us who have been made the choice to serve rather than compromise our own infrastructure and architecture in order to be here now, also knowing that we would come to the point of the evolutionary journey where our partners in sacred union would arrive simply through the monadic group, through the universal law of attraction, through that energy of magnetism. And that, I feel, will start unfolding from here on as these monadic groups are being brought together. Yeah. Really something beautiful, to the extent I've had it explained to me about the next relationship you will experience will be beyond anything you've ever experienced on this planet before. And yeah, that feels worth waiting for.
Yeah, that term of like the twin flames, it doesn't feel relevant anymore. It's gone. It's part of the old structure. We have divine unions coming forward, and it's not even in the same framework. The consciousness around it is completely different.
Yeah, and when people used to refer to twin flames, the way I've described it is often when you come together with somebody where there's a lot of fire. And the reason you're being brought together in a twin flame relationship is to burn away all that is not you. And I've certainly been through that experience on my journey. Yeah. And it helped me ground. It helped me land. And I let go of my Love and Light Brigade banner and got grounded to the light of love in a very earthly and cosmic way. And it's been a beautiful journey ever since. I'm very grateful. Is there anything else? Anybody have any questions they wish to even just ask into the field, or anything they'd like to contribute to our journey today? Not feeling complete yet. There's something else that needs to be shared here. So what is that? Two more things we need to touch into. The first one I'm getting is to understand that evolution is not rocket science. And the way, because I didn't attend a mystery school in this timeline and lifetime, I found a very simple way of organizing reality, that we are born Homo sapien. When we embody our solar logos, we become Homo luminous. When we embody our galactic selves, we become Homo galacticus. And when we embody our universal level of self, we become Homo universalis. And at each stage of the journey, we're being asked to open our heart and expand our heart beyond our family group, beyond our intimate relationships, into our community, into our country, into our planet, and then beyond our planet, into our stellar solar system, and then into our galactic families, and to become one with the universal family as one. And each stage of my journey, I've had to keep unpacking and opening this heart space to know that I'm not separate from anyone or anything. And it's been a really humbling journey and created more beauty in being here on this earth, to be able to operate from that perceptual state of awareness. And the reminder is also to know that the bees hold the template of Homo universalis for our planet. Everything our little honeybees do, they do with joy and love, and they do it for the greater good of all, for their hive, for their environment, for the plants and the trees, and for the planet. That we have a lot to learn from our honeybees as we expand our hearts into universal love. I wonder if there's anything you'd like to add to that, Kacie.
I was very much seeing the bees before you spoke of that. And it was, it just makes my heart so happy to get to that place where we can think about that most expanded view. And I understand that there are like stargates waiting for us to open when we get to that place. Like we're kind of limited now in our Earth school, that we only have access, and other galactic beings, only certain ones only have access to us. But when we get to that place, it's like the whole playing field changes. And like the environment with which we know is going to be completely different, because we will be completely different. Yeah.
And to know that all of these different realities are playing out simultaneously on the planet now. And there's not one that's better, worse, or good, or bad, or right, or wrong. It's like a video game. You know, I see so many of our youth today addicted to their video games. And, you know, they're gamers. They spend hours with their consciousness in other realities. And, you know, I have hope for humanity that when they realize that this is a video game for real, that they will know really quickly how to navigate through it, because of all of the neural pathways that they've generated and created through their gaming. So it's quite an interesting reality to explore.
It's almost as if our gamers are waiting for us to change the game, so then they can interact and be ready to go.
Yeah, I like it, to invite them into this game of life and show them that it's actually a game, that we're here to play consciously in these bodies at this time. Yeah. That feels good. And there's one more piece that wants to be shared here today. What's that? Something to do with inner earth.
I'm seeing these giant creators coming forward on the galactic level, but also showing the inner earth connection of where the beginning of this planet started from, on that level of the inner earth. Like they're like giant rock beings. I'm seeing the cosmic level, but then also the connection down into inner earth.
It feels important that we understand the inner earth is alive, that there's a lot of beings that live in inner earth. There's a lot that goes on in earth that's not separate to us. For those that are unfamiliar, the way I understand it is that at the time of the fall, we had a very short notice given that everything's closing, it's collapsing. We have to close things down as quickly, safely, securely as possible and effectively as possible. So everyone, all the gatekeepers, went on their mission, scouring around their planet, closing things down as safely as they could, both into inner earth and through the galactic gateways. And literally also saying goodbye to soul family that they may not see for we don't know how long. And it's very much been a time of remembering and reconnecting as the gateways are reopening between our planet and inner earth and our planet and the galactics. So to be open to reconnection with these realms, while also understanding mastery of discernment is vital in this dimension and in others, is also really, really important. And that's part of the process of our remembering and reconnecting, is mastering that discernment. Is there anything else you'd like to contribute?
As you were saying that, they were showing me the crystal temples, some of them that are in inner earth, that as you were doing that restructuring of the grid, that they can start to come up at this time with the activations that are being held. Some of those relics and parts and pieces can start to be utilized again on the earth. That they didn't go down there to be put away forever. And some of the star beings, this is what I do. I sometimes have to wake them up inside the mountains because they've fallen asleep, and let them know that it's time to get back to work. So there's some of those workers that are linked into those temples that we need to remember are still there, and it's time to wake them up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It reminds me when the first time I visited Shasta, I went for a wander up to Panther Meadow, and then there was a sign up beyond the spring to say, don't pass here, and that's where I had to go. And lay down in the grass, of course, and fell into my dream time, and was actually taken all the way into Telos, the city of light within Shasta, and got this beautiful, beautiful welcoming and homecoming from Adama and everyone there. And it was just absolutely magical, and such a gift to know that they've been there for so long, and we have reconnection and communication with them again. Also the inner earth light cities in Sedona, and down here in Attuning, arriving here, I didn't know consciously that there was also a inner earth light city down here in Attuning. So yeah, it's been quite a magical time of remembering. Yeah. That's it. It feels like we have completed all of what we had to share. Veronica, yes, please.
Yes, hello. Thank you. I just these last sharings they triggered some things from around. I'm located in Norway, very close to Oslo. And this first part about the inner cities, I think it was in 2019, I met this water guardian who was stuck in a lake very close to where I live. And he turned out to be like a sentient that was sent out to clear, and I don't get this, but he was sent out to clear the airways into one of the inner cities up north. And I got a very like distinct feeling it was all the way over in Sweden, this inner city. And this was about the time that you'd been in Sweden a lot, Leanne. And I don't know if I shared this story with you, but I did some work with him then, and the story just came up when you were talking about the inner cities. And then, Kacie, I have this really beautiful mountain that I see straight out my window. It's fully quartz inside. And at one point years ago, I saw this huge eagle, like crystalline eagle, just soaring above it. And there's something not finished in that story. So that also just came up when you spoke about activating mountains. So yeah, I don't know where those pieces are going, but they started coming in.
Thank you. Kacie, do you have anything for Veronica?
I was just connecting into the eagle itself. And it feels like a timing piece. It feels like it's going to be coming forward, but you are connected to that specifically. There's going to be work for you to do. It's a cosmic connector, that mountain itself, that has a cosmic portal. And I'm also seeing like the crystal inside needs to come out of the mountain. So you may need to be a helper to hold space or to check in and portal in and see what you can do to hold space or activate it in a certain way. Usually when I merge with the mountains or volcanoes, I just ask, what can I do here? How can I be of assistance? And they will show you.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah, thank you both. And also that piece, Veronica, that connecting with Sweden, what came up is Torsatra, where I don't know if Lisa's there today, but she's with us from Sweden. But yes, it showed me how at the lake at Torsatra, there's also an entrance into the inner Earth light city there, which is where Swedish family reside, just south west of Stockholm. And this feels connected. And it also feels connected with the work with the solar discs in November 2025 as well. Yeah. And I have a feeling I know the sister, or I've met the sister who is the guardian. The other one of our monad who is taking care of that solar disk. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for that contribution and that weaving that's emerged from it. Yes, please, Carolyn.
Hi, Lee, it's Caroline from England.
Hello, my dear. Last seen on the top of Teotihuacan many years ago. How are you?
And before that in Gaunt's house.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, great. So it's good to catch up with what you've been up to. I'd like to know more. I just wanted to let you know that I just came back from Greece. And I went with Raylene Brady.
Wonderful.
And we did some clearing of the Apollo Athena line in Delphi. And some dark stuff came up, and we cleared it. But there was quite a lot of sickness amongst some of the people. yeah, so I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. That's lovely that you joined Raylene on that journey and that you brought that into the field, because Raylene is a very special sister. And one of the first that I met was in service to Gaia. And Raylene also knows Renee. And yes, let me just see if this needs to be shared. The other story that needs to be shared was my first physical meeting with Raylene, which happened when I was leading a trip in Yemen and for a British company. And I asked them when they booked my fares, please book Egypt Air because I need to stop by Cairo. These are on the way there or back. And Raylene I'd heard of, somebody said, you work a lot like Raylene does. You need to meet. Unbeknown to me, Raylene was on a big journey through the Americas and then I think through Asia and then on her way to the UK. And the day I flew back from Yemen, or the day after, through Cairo and stopped, Raylene was flying back to Australia through Cairo. And we had our first meeting, actually, at the arse end of the Sphinx. That was where we physically met. There was a whole lot of light language communicated. Horace flew in and landed at the tail of the Sphinx. And when we were done, this enormous sandstorm blew up and blotted out the pyramids. We literally could not see the pyramids. So we went inside and drank tea and ate falafel and hummus for the afternoon and got to know each other. And yes, I've been weaving with Raylene and the whales ever since. And it's been a beautiful journey. So wonderful that she was called to Delphi at this time. And yeah, it was a very important piece of work that you all did there. So thank you. Anything else from anyone else before we close for this day? Marie from our whale temple in Waimate. So wonderful you could join us.
Thank you. Something that's just kept reoccurring since we've been talking, and I'm not sure at which point it came in, is I can just see there's almost like butterflies entering the earth and actually exiting the earth. It's like they're the pathway to the center of our earth. I just needed to share that keeps reoccurring. They look like butterflies to me. They might be something else. But, yeah.
Thank you for bringing that in. It was a piece of the puzzle that came up with Olga and I that we that I don't think I mentioned yet, was the work that had to be done around the base of the planet in Antarctica and the crown in the Arctic. Both parts of the grid were compromised, particularly the one in Antarctica. There was 8 different galactics weaving with that issue down at the root base of our planetary body, and therefore affects our bodies. So that was the last piece that got removed before the whole grid system could get lifted off and the new could ignite. And when the new was ignited, it also ignited the kundalini of the earth again, reignited the kundalini of the earth. And years ago, I know John Varlo spoke of how the kundalini of the earth moved from Kailash down through the Andes, and they did work around Panama where the Panama Canal had been cut through the planetary body. And the work that happened yesterday reignited the kundalini of the earth out of Antarctica, obviously through the body, but also up through the Andes, up through Mesoamerica, up through the Turtle Island, Ustedes Unidas, Canada, Alaska, and into the Arctic. So that the kundalini of the planet is back online. So thank you for bringing the butterflies in, because that was a piece I had forgotten about. Thank you. And thank you all. Thank you, Kacie, for sharing this journey today. It has been such a gift reuniting, reconnecting with you. And I am excited for each day of when I wake up in the morning now, because it's like a lifetime can unfold in one day right now. And It's extraordinary. It's what so many of us have worked so hard for so long for. And to feel this reunion that's happening now, this reconnection, where people are following their soul guidance to be where they need to be at any time, and the magic that's unfolding through that. So thank you all for your presence, your consciousness, for showing up as a guardian of Gaia and being here to take care of yourself, your families, your communities, and our beautiful blue-green planet as she evolves into galactic Gaia. And yes, there will be a recording of this that I will add to our, I'll upload it on YouTube and I'll share it on the event page. So if there's anything you want to revisit, you're welcome, or anything you'd like to share, you're welcome. And if you have any questions after you've integrated this journey, because a lot has been shared in the journey, if you have any questions, you're welcome to probably just add them to the YouTube and we can respond to you there. So thank you. Would you like to lead our closing? No, Carolyn will be open. Kacie. Giving gratitude.
Gratitude for this beautiful ceremony and gathering of all the tribes, of all the beings, of all the celestials and celestial beings, of all the guardians, of all the galactic showing up for support for our work that we did today, and for this great remembering that came forward. As we begin to part this circle, we are recognizing that the dragons are flying through the air, as well as the cetacean beings, and staying connected to those beings as we travel our earth walk, taking in that guidance and that information, and staying centered in ourselves until we meet again.
Thank you so much. And may we all return fully intact onto the earth plane. Love and gratitude for all of you, for your presence and for sharing this beautiful adventure called life. Until next we may meet.
Thank you, Leanne.